Happy Wednesday, Patriots fans. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Patriots Today by Chat Sports, because this is our second ever live show in the off season. I talked to my boss, Brett, right after we won in week 18 and our season was over. I said, look, this off season is going to be juicy. It's going to be spicy. We have so many details to hit this offseason that I have to start going live. I've got to update these people in real time what is going on with the New England Patriots. That's exactly what we are going to do every single Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope so bad you guys are listening to this driving home, getting ready to work out, getting ready to make dinner, hang out with your family, do whatever you do after work, and you can just relax for the next hour and listen to some Patriots football opinions. And we have 75 people watched in here. Hopefully, each and every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we continue to grow this viewership. We continue to bring more and more Patriots fans in here and make this the largest Patriots Today show on YouTube. And we have a new producer here with us this week. Last week, it was Joey. This week, it is Jeffrey Cooperstein. Coop, how the hell are you?
I am fantastic. I'm ready to talk some Pats football. Very interesting offseason for the New England Patriots.
Already. It's been a week, dude. They literally fired a former Patriot defensive player on a Sunday. A week later, they hired another former Patriots defensive player. But this one definitely has a little bit more experience. Not definitely, for sure has more experience than Drake Maye. I think this was the right hire. But now that we have Mike Vrabel, we're obviously going to be talking about this in the future. The OC and the DC that needs to come with Vrabel. As of right now, DeMarcus Covington is still our defensive coordinator. But if you guys checked out my video that I posted earlier today on Patriots Today by Chat Sports, you would see that DeMarcus Covington has actually been interviewing with other NFL teams. And I find that absolutely insane, considering we had a pretty bottom-of-the-barrel defense. But now I leave it up to you guys. Build your dream coaching staff along with Mike Vrabel. I know a lot of you guys really like Josh McDaniels, a Robert Saleh even. I definitely think Saleh would be my dream DC, even though he's kind of on that trajectory to go back to a head coaching position. And then Josh McDaniels is definitely a really, really good option, but I do like Josh McCown from the Minnesota Vikings. I think that would be electric.
Josh
New
McCown
England
would be sick.
I think it's an outside perspective. The only thing I don't want with McDaniels is I don't want to watch the Patriots and just feel like I've seen this before. And hopefully we're going to get a whole new system in here with Mike Vrabel, because he said he wanted to start his coaching experience outside of New England to hopefully end up here one day. But with McDaniels, his success really only comes from being an OC in New England with Tom Brady. Well, now you don't have Brady, so I don't want him to try to recreate something that isn't there and can't be recreated anymore, because let's face it, Tom Brady, who the hell is recreating him unless, 2025 and we realize we can actually recreate people. But before we do hop into your comments, questions, and concerns, let me go ahead and tell you guys real quick about our sponsor on today's live show, and that is Game Time. If you guys are looking to get tickets to any comedy, concert, or even a sporting event, pretty much anything that requires ticket upon entry, use Game Time. Why? Because you're going to get the lowest price guaranteed. Your girl is now 26 years old, so that means I spend my Saturday couponing and drinking coffee. So if I'm trying to save $1, I'm going to use Game Time when I want to treat myself, my friends, or my family. And with Game Time, you guys can also get all-in pricing. This way you know the exact total you're paying up front before you check out. My number one feature I love on Game Time is the fact that you guys can see the view from your seat in the app before you buy. If you guys want to go on ahead and get started with Game Time, we're going to hook you up here. All you have to do is download Game Time, use promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first time buying tickets while terms apply. Again, download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first time buying tickets while terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. So I'm seeing a lot of Josh McDaniels in the chat, Robert Saleh, of course. And then interesting note here is that AVP as the quarterback's coach. I actually really do like that tactic, because Drake Maye and AVP created such a tight bond this last year that I know that was definitely in the back of Robert Kraft's mind. before he fired AVP. Because what you don't want to do is give a rookie quarterback too many OCs at once, and now he's trying to change his scheme, change his skill set too many times, and you end up with a bust. So I do like AVP as a quarterback's coach, but you also have to remember Josh McDaniels was the quarterback's coach pretty much the entire time he ran the offense in New England with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. So McDaniels also knows how to have that relationship with a guy like Drake Maye. And he already has that prior experience with Mike Vrabel, which AVP and Mayo did not know each other. I don't even think AVP was Mayo's top choice coming into the head coaching position. But now I'm starting to transition a little bit more into free agents this offseason. That's the other really spicy factor in the Patriots offseason. We have the largest cap space right now in the NFL. $130 million. If I am Eliot Wolf, I am literally handing Vrabel the checkbook.
Absolutely.
You have to. And there have been some conspiracy theories out there that maybe Robert Kraft and Eliot Wolf didn't add anybody in free agency because they already knew what the season was going to be with Jerod Mayo. I do not know if that is true. I would hope not, because I would think you still want to win regardless of who's the head coach. But now knowing Vrabel has made connections with players in the NFL from his prior coaching experience, whether that be through free agency or the trade market, you need to give Vrabel the 110% green light approval to sign whoever the hell he wants. And all signs are pointing towards Tee Higgins. This is the number one destination for Tee Higgins to land. And there have been some reports that if it's not going to be New England, then it's probably going to be Cincinnati, which makes a lot of sense. He wants to be paid. We can pay him. We can also make him the top receiver. He's not the top receiver in Cincinnati. That's Jamar Chase. So it'd be pretty interesting to see what Tee Higgins is going to decide to do here in the next couple of months. Junior saying, please get Tee Higgins. I got Raymond saying, didn't Tee Higgins, quote, he didn't want to be wide receiver 1? I mean, he may fit better in a wide receiver 2 type of system. But if you come to New England, we don't even have a top wide receiver or 3 or 4 or 5. So you would have to be wide receiver 1.
He'll give the bag to T.
He wants to get paid. Who doesn't want to be wide receiver 1? He may not want to be wide receiver 1 in Cincinnati, but in New England, when the offense is literally structured around you, I can't imagine Higgins not wanting to be like an Amon-Ra or a Jay Jettis or a Jamar Chase. I feel like he would want to be in the play every single snap. A.J. Brown is also a guy that I would love to possibly talk about when it comes to trade targets. Obviously, he's not going to be a free agent. So A.J. Brown obviously having that connection with Vrabel. They have a good relationship. Prior to him being traded to Philadelphia, got a little bit bumpy along that road, but he did confirm yesterday he still talks to A.J. Brown. He still has a very good relationship with A.J. Brown, and ultimately, he's really, really happy for him. But here's my other question. Is that New England still has a full roster, obviously, but we do have 17 players entering free agency this season. The second video we're going to do here on this live show today is talking about all of the Patriots' top free agents and if I think they should go or if I think they should stay. So which Patriots players should walk this offseason? You got to think about the backups, the Jacoby Brissetts, the Jermichael Hasty's. You also do have some starters from this season. Christian Ellis, Dietrich Wise Jr. When you got a head coach that has connections now to not just other players, but other coaches in the NFL, you're now going to have to make that decision of, hey, should we maybe keep this guy or should we go out there and grab another person? The latest report that I saw here today was Rico Dowdle of the Cowboys entering into free agency. Would he be a guy you would like to remove Jermichael Hasty from the roster and sign a guy like Rico, who has acted as the running back 1 for the Dallas Cowboys this last season? But as a Cowboys fan, how would you feel about that?
Look, Rico had a solid year. I think basically you can put anybody on the Cowboys offense and they can rush for 1,000 yards, and Rico did. So he had a good season. I wouldn't hate the Cowboys letting him go and him going to free agency, I think the Cowboys are going to draft a running back high anyways.
Ashton Genty.
I would love that. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I think Rico would actually be a pretty good fit alongside Drake Maye here in New England. So,
how would you feel if you hired Deion Sanders and he traded Micah Parsons so that he could trade up and get Shedeur Sanders?
I do want to trade Micah Parsons.
What? That's a hot take, Coop. What?
Yeah.
Said no Cowboys fan ever.
Talks too much.
Oh, yeah.
Too much
fair.
talk.
That's
not
fair.
enough win.
What about CeeDee Lamb? He had the whole I'm sitting out prior to the season, then he got paid. Now he did play through.
Love CeeDee,
he played through so many injuries this year. I would feel so bad for CeeDee. You'd see him just make routine catches, and he would just have a limp shoulder, just trying to pick it back up and get back in the next play. He talked a lot in the offseason, but he did back it up on the field. That is for sure.
Absolutely. CeeDee's one of the best receivers in this league, man. He really is. And I don't think they're going to trade either of their two best players to trade up. I don't think Deion's going to be the head coach of the Cowboys to begin with. So.
I think Jerry is finding a way to make the Cowboys relevant during all of the offseason rumors. All the numerous head coach vacancies, Jerry Jones finds a way to be the headline. And I honestly, if he does end up hiring a guy like Deion Sanders, it's going to be for the money. Think of the merch, the Deion Sanders primetime merch, all those sales coming back in again. I think anything to get $1, he's going to look at. But I was surprised that the Patriots signed Mike Vrabel as quickly as they did. I thought they would have taken a little bit more consideration to Ben Johnson. But Johnson's going to be a head coach somewhere next year. I think that's a guarantee. I don't know, maybe a 30% chance he goes back to Detroit, but he could have been a head coach last year. Now Detroit are like the Super Bowl favorites right now. If not, they're second. So I think he's going to try to get every last drop of juice he can out of Detroit this season and then head out somewhere next year. So we do also have a mailbag at the back half of this show. We did a mailbag last week, but a lot of that was focused around Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel. Now that Vrabel is officially the head coach, now we have a whole new plethora of questions that we can ask. What's his first move? Who does he go get in the trade market? What is his free agency going to look like? What about a mock draft in Mike Vrabel's eyes? There are so many moves Vrabel can now make. And from what I took away from his press conference, this dude is here to change the culture in New England. And I talked about this a little bit in my sit-down that I posted on YouTube the other day, is that I think Vrabel is the direct in-between of Belichick and Mayo. With Gerard Mayo, there was a lot of good that came from his player to coach relationships. He kept the door wide open. He always made sure he was checking on the players' families, mental health, making sure that they knew they could come to him and talk to him about anything. But then with Bill Belichick, you had that in-your-face, hard-ass, I don't want to hear you cry type of mentality, which I think Vrabel will instill on the field, a.k.a. you go against 15 penalties again, then yes, you're going to see that Bill Belichick side. But if you're winning, if you're having a good time in the offseason, you're going to get more of that, hey, I want to hear your opinions. How can we make this team better? How can I help you during your rehab process? So Vrabel was obviously the right hire. I'm still an advocate for Ben Johnson, and I do hope and I do think he will be a good NFL coach. But Vrabel was the smart move by Robert Kraft.
Absolutely agree. I think Vrabel was destined to be the Patriots head coach. So.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
And I love that he said in his press conference that he knew his coaching tenure and experience needed to come outside of New England first.
For sure.
So he got that in Tennessee for X amount of years. Then he went and he kind of worked in the front office this last year with the Cleveland Browns. I think him trying not to just recreate Belichick in New England was really, really important. And not that it matters, but it kind of does. Bill is responding a lot better to Vrabel's hiring than he did with Gerard Mayo's.
Yeah.
I don't think he was like, that is not a good compliment to my success the year after. And I don't think they were planning on Bill being released that early. And by that early, I mean he's still coaching, just not in the NFL anymore. So Mayo needed a little bit more time, but nonetheless, Vrabel was the right guy. Nolan coming in with a really good question here using hashtag Patriots. We'll definitely talk about that more on our mailbag. Felix, I love that question as well, talking a lot about trade targets for New England. Think about it. We've got $130 million in cap space. We should have a ton to offer these guys who want to get paid and have playing time. Because believe me, our roster is crap. Junior, I also like that question as well, talking about Jonathan Jones, the veteran in the secondary for New England. Ness Force coming in with another great question here. Who are the top 3 options for the number 4 pick in New England? Definitely can break that down. I'll be posting a lot more mock drafts leading up to April as well. But right now with Vrabel, I want to focus on what he can bring just with his own connections to New England. And then we can talk about the draft in the next couple of months. So we're going to go on ahead and jump into the top targets for free agency here. You guys feel free, comment, like, subscribe, super chat, and if you want to be in our mailbag, go on ahead, put your questions in the comment section down below. Just use hashtag Patriots. That way Coop can grab your question, put it on our show, and we can answer them correctly. All right, we're going to hop into our top free agent targets here. Go on ahead, sit tight, and we'll be right back. Now that Mike Vrabel is the new head coach in New England, who is he going to try and track down in free agency to help the Patriots on offense and on defense? Because let's be honest, we had a bottom-of-the-barrel defense and an even worse total offense this last year under Covington, Mayo, and AVP. Now we're still pending a new OC. DeMarcus Covington is still currently our DC, but Vrabel is the man with all of the connections. But now he has to take over a roster that unfortunately wasn't that high up in terms of talent. And New England does have 17 players that are set to hit the free agent market this season. We'll talk a little bit later on whether or not they should keep some of those guys or let them walk. But this is a really, really good year in terms of top talent in the free agency market to come to New England. Why? We can guarantee you money with $130 million in cap space. We can guarantee players playing time because our roster is terrible. So I do think now that we have established a head coach, I think now is when the fun really, really starts. So before I hop into my top targets on offense and on defense for New England, who do you guys want to sign in free agency? And I know it's going to be extremely hard to get through this without talking about Tee Higgins, but that is who we're going to break down first here. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say that. But I just want to keep in mind that New England right now is not the sexiest destination for a lot of players out there that are looking to win right now. I'm not saying that the new New England can't have a winning record this upcoming year, but coming off of last season, we really don't have much to offer them, except we have a second-team All-Pro DB in Christian Gonzalez. We have a future of our franchise in Drake Maye, and now you have Mike Vrabel. So don't be surprised if big names like Tee Higgins may want to go somewhere where a culture is already established. And I really like this quote here from Antonio Gibson. He did say this prior to Gerard Mayo being fired, but he said, I don't feel like we've had the season to say we'll attract anything right now. Once again, that was before the Week 18 finale. I did hear that players don't want to come here, but it's not that bad. My family loves it. The culture's not bad. It's been nice. And if Antonio Gibson really liked playing in a Patriots uniform last year and would do it again, and that was during the losing record and having Gerard Mayo as your head coach, now that you have Vrabel, who does have experience and connections and can network and is going to rebrand the culture in the locker room and out on the field, I do think there is some attraction to some free agents out there. Whether they'll be the top ones or not, I do think New England is going to see a shakeup, and it's going to be for the better. So let's go on ahead and talk about number one on not just the Patriots' radar, but everybody's radar, Tee Higgins. There have been some sources that he may want to stay in Cincinnati, and I don't blame him. He's had that connection with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase since he entered the NFL. But there have been other reports that he wants to cut ties with Cincinnati. So ultimately, right now, it seems a bit to be hot and cold with his situation with the Bengals. But he is the top wide receiver in free agency, so I do think he's going to be open to listening to possible teams reaching out to him saying, hey, if you do want to leave the Bengals, here's what we can offer you. And he did recently play on a $21.8 million franchise tag, and he wanted to leave Cincinnati before the last season even started. But he decided to stay, and it worked out pretty well for Higgins in the long run. Chad Graff, The Athletic, saying, look, New England's going to be all in on T. And now that we have Vrabel, who knows how to talk to players, and he knows what he can offer them to come to New England under his reign, I do think he'll be able to sweet talk them in the right position for T to be at least be interested in the Patriots. But Graff went on to say, they've shown an interest in established receivers, and Higgins is the best free agent. I expect them to offer him the moon. The question is whether he says yes or no. And before you guys say, well, if they offer him X amount of dollars, he's destined to come to New England. Wrong. We reportedly offered Brandon Ayuk the most amount of money in free agency, but yet he's still re-signed with the 49ers. But when you look at a guy like Higgins, you're not going to get a wide receiver one coming out of Cincinnati. He would automatically be your wide receiver one in New England, but still, that's something that Tee Higgins is going to decide if he wants for himself. Look at a Chris Godwin. He's really established himself being a top 2 wide receiver in Tampa Bay and really fits in well as a larger slot guy. Higgins may like his role of not particularly getting every single pass, but definitely being involved in every single route, every single play. So now my question to you guys is, do you want Tee Higgins? I know that you want Tee Higgins. I want Tee Higgins. But I don't know if Tee Higgins wants New England. And that is the circumstance that we do run into. Go on ahead and type T in the comment section down below if you guys haven't already. And do not worry, I have 3 more top targets. And one of them is a wide receiver that I do think, regardless if they go after Higgins or not, they should at least give a call and try to make some sort of deal happen with him as well. But before I do that, I want to talk to you guys about Game Time. This is the #1 way I get tickets to any sporting event, any concert, comedy show, or maybe even the theater. If you guys are looking to save $1, download Game Time. This is the lowest price guaranteed, and with their new feature, Game Time Picks, it makes getting tickets to your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out all the fluff to make sure you guys are getting the best seats with the best deals. That way you don't have to spend time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. The other month, my boyfriend's brother and sister-in-law, that's a mouthful, came into town. We'd never been to a professional hockey game. I got us tickets. I got 4 tickets for under $100 because Game Time pointed out with Game Time Picks that this little section, great seats, great price, and I got a nice little 10% discount on those tickets. Why? Because Game Time. You can also see the view from your seat before you buy in the app. Nice little 180 virtual panoramic view. So you guys are looking to go watch the Boston Celtics, the new New England Patriots, the Boston Bruins, maybe even the Boston Red Sox. If you're into that sort of thing, go Yankees. You guys can go on ahead, download the Game Time app today. Use promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first time buying tickets while terms apply. Again, download the Game Time app today. Use promo code CHATSPORTS. That'll get you $20 off your first time buying tickets while terms apply. Download Game Time. What time is it? It is game time. Unfortunately, it is no longer game time for the Vikings. They shit the bed 2 weeks in a row, and that does lead us to Cam Robinson. You now get to look at the Vikings offseason, and that will obtain Christian Darrisaw back to their roster. The reason why they went out and seeked a guy like Cam Robinson was because Darrisaw had a season-ending injury. And I'll be honest, I was not that impressed with Robinson in Minnesota. But prior to that, in Jacksonville, he was the 19th best free agent per Bleacher Report. He allowed the 8th lowest pressure rate in Jacksonville. Once again, Minnesota didn't really suit him well. At the end of the season, Verdarian Lowe allowed less amount of pressures than Cam Robinson did for Sam Darnold. And we all saw that playoff game. 9 sacks on Sam Darnold. It's like the Ferris Bueller scare where it's like 9 times. But Once again, take the good with the bad. He fit better in Jacksonville, didn't really fit well in Minnesota, which is making me believe that Minnesota is not going to want to re-sign Cam Robinson. But overall, when you're looking at his PFF grades, the number one reason why I want Robinson on the line for Drake Maye is this number right here. For the love of God, we need pass blocking. And when Mike Vrabel says we're going to become a passing efficient team, you look at 70 and above pass blocking grades to help one of the strongest arms in the 2023 NFL rookie class. And knowing that before he went to Minnesota and he was in Jacksonville, he signed a 3-year, $55 million deal with the Jaguars. So you can offer him maybe about $10 million less. He's getting a little bit older, and obviously Minnesota wasn't his best outing. So I do think you could get him for a whopping $45 million on a 3-year deal, and he'd be satisfied with that. So my question for you guys is, Patriots should sign which offensive line free agent? Because let me tell you, I love Will Campbell, also love Kelvin Banks Jr., but a part of me really wants that veteran leadership, that NFL experience blocking for Drake Maye. But let's go back to a Drake Maye target. Chris Godwin. This is the wide receiver I want if Mr. Higgins says no. And we should expect Mr. Higgins to say no because Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and Calvin Ridley were all swings and misses last free agency. And guess what? We put all of our eggs into those baskets. When you look at Chris Godwin, you are going to get a top wide receiver who could be your top wide receiver one, but let's say maybe you pair him with a Teteroa McMillan. A 6'5" wideout still allows Chris Godwin to be that internal slot, which he does suit very well for, going with Mike Evans in Tampa Bay right now. Another reason you could possibly get Chris Godwin for a very good deal is because he's coming off an injury. So some teams may not be as attracted to him because he does come with some rehab baggage. And what he did in 7 games, shits on what any of our receivers did in 17 games, which is extremely, extremely unfortunate. Pop Douglas, I do love Demario Douglas. I think he is that accelerate after catch type of wide receiver, but I don't really love his height. Why? Because Drake Maye tends to be a little bit inaccurate and will throw ahead and above targets. So with Pop Douglas not being the tallest guy out there, it does make it super unfortunate for that connection. Jalen Polk, well, he's also a bust. So maybe we can see next year what Polk can do, but I think you need to really beef up your wide receivers. And knowing that Tee Higgins is going to be on everybody's radar, Chris Godwin will still be on teams' radars, but maybe not as much because of the injury and because he's paired with Mike Evans and everybody's looking at Evans. So now my last question for you guys, before I move into my final free agent target, which positions should the Patriots sign in free agency? Are we looking at OL, DL, wide receiver, running back maybe, even one that doesn't fumble? Go on ahead, let me know in the comment section down below. Along with Higgins, you're going to get a guy like Trey Smith, who is probably one of the sexiest attributes to a team's offense, but he's going to be a very, very hot commodity in free agency. And I do not know if a guy like Trey Smith or Tee Higgins would want to come to New England. Respectfully, we don't have too much to offer him because of how bad our season was last year. He's a top 10 guard per PFF, but we also know they did recently deal with blood clots. We just dealt with that with Christian Barmore. Obviously not something you can prevent. It just sort of happens when you've got some bigger guys in the team and their bodies are moving this certain type of way, but it is something to keep an eye on when teams are looking at them. They do also come with a bit of rehab baggage. And then Trey Smith, I mean, look at this sorry-ass offensive line. Holy cow. Mike Nwinu is the only player that would possibly be a starter in the NFL if he wasn't on New England's offensive line. Everybody else would either be working at Amazon or they would be on the practice squad for a NFL football team. And that's extremely unfortunate that we gave Drake Maye this offensive line. Verdarian Lowe was his own Achilles heel in terms of penalties. Same thing with DeMontre Jacobs, who I hope we never see in a Patriots uniform again. Ben Brown, we picked him up off the waiver wire. But now you're getting Cole Strange back. David Andrews wants to return in 2025. Mike Onwenu coming back. Caden Wallace, Layden Robinson. Last year's picks on the offensive line. If you go out and get just one good offensive lineman, you can fill in the gaps as you go along. And I do think Cam Robinson and Trey Smith would be a phenomenal addition to a very sorry offensive line that we gifted the rookie with for his first year. And if anything does happen in New England, I will talk about it right here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. You guys do not want to miss this offseason, and I want to give it to you guys for free. Go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. All right, which position to the Patriots sign a free agency? Thank you, Coop. Thank you, Coop. Audience of 1. Thank you.
Audience of 286.
That is correct. But I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit embarrassed that this is your first time producing for me, and our like-to-viewer ratio is horrendous. Oh,
yeah, we need more likes for sure.
I am embarrassed to tell Coop that we don't like the video here at Patriots Today by Chat Sports.
The video.
So KB actually put in this comment section, and I do kind of want to talk about this a little bit. Chuck Okorafor, who started the first game and then pretty much quit. Literally quit. I don't think he's coming back, especially because he's set to hit free agency. I don't think he's coming back to the NFL. I think that is sad that he just up and decided, I don't know if I want to play football anymore. And you left your team at a time of need. So I personally don't want Okorafor back. If he decides to come back to the NFL, I hope another team picks him up and they get to deal with him and have, his skill set. But yeah, I'm definitely not rolling with Okorafor next year. But that's just me. I don't want a guy that quit after the first game because he didn't like playing football anymore. That just sounds crazy. Boston Bob saying, like it up, people. Oh, KB said I was trolling. Oh, okay. Sometimes it's hard to tell, Cody said, love the hair, too. Thank you. I woke up this morning. Thomas said, no. I woke up. I mean, sorry. I don't mean to brag or anything. I woke up this morning. That's how it happened.
Not a big deal.
Nolan saying, Patriots, we won our offensive line. What's up, Big Daddy Joe? Happy to have you in here, my man. Thomas saying, no wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. We need defensive line and offensive line. No wide receivers? I don't know. Tedero McMillan. I really want Tedero McMillan. I'm going to be very honest. But Abdul Carter also would be very good with Mike Vrabel, Keon White, Devon Godchaux, Christian Barmore. I think that would be a really good setup in there as well. Devin saying grab both Higgins and Trey Smith and draft Campbell or Banks. Maybe grab Jaden Higgins, wide receiver in the 3rd. Maybe Scatabo, running back in the 4th. Damn, I mean, that's a hell of a draft. Have you met Robert Kraft? We're not known for drafting very well, a.k.a. drafted up to pick a kicker in the 4th round a couple years ago. Edward saying Mike Green, shout out JMU Dukes, baby.
Go Dukes.
Go Dukes. Is he in the NFL?
Who?
Mike Green?
I believe so.
I never followed up with him where he ended up. Big Daddy Joe saying like and subscribe. I'm that effing guy, dude. I feel like we have a decent defense. Our coordinator screwed us over more than anything. I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think DeMarcus Covington actually wasn't the bad part of the defense. I think injuries were. We really did lose a lot of starters very early in the season for season-ending injuries. That did plague us a lot. We need better wide receivers. They shouldn't draft wide receiver at all. Patriots suck at drafting and developing wide receivers, a.k.a. trading up to draft Jalen Polk and not Ladd McConkey. Shout out to Mr. Kraft. All right, well, we do still actually have a roster with players on it. So let's go on ahead and discuss who New England should keep or release heading into free agency this offseason before we decide who we should add. Let's figure out what we have to do with the 53 guys that are on the roster right now. Coming up on Patriots Today by Chat Sports, we're going to talk about the pending free agents this offseason for New England, and I'll break down whether they should stay or New England should probably part ways with them just because their time is over in a New England's uniform. You got to think, Mike Vrabel is going to create his own culture in New England, and I'm very excited to see who he can bring in. But before he brings in guys, we have to decide whether or not there's room for them and if we can give them the playing time that they deserve. But before we do that, I know a lot of you guys want to see Tee Higgins in New England next season. Well, some reports are saying that maybe he wants to have a relationship still with Cincinnati. Well, right now, we do have a Bengals breakdown channel at Chat Sports, and I want to beat them in subscribers in January just to show the kids in Cincinnati that we want Tee Higgins more in New England, and we can give him more money and playing time than Joe Burrow and the Bengals can do. So let's beat Bengals breakdown in January in the month of subscribers, and if we get more subs than them, then we're going to show them we want Tee Higgins more. So go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. Let's talk about Jonathan Jones, the 32-year-old secondary player for New England. I'm going to be honest. The number one thing that I look at when I see Jonathan Jones is that veteran leadership, which you can always benefit from on the field and in the locker room. But in terms of talent, there were numerous instances where Jonathan Jones would constantly get beat by younger and faster wide receivers, leaving Christian Gonzalez, Alex Austin really out to dry here. When I look at a guy like Jonathan Jones, being 32 years old, and then you look at what Christian Gonzalez just did in his second year of the NFL, I think you need to let Jonathan Jones go to make room for younger, faster, and more equipped secondary players. And if you do decide to keep Jones on the roster, a vet minimum type of deal, it would purely be for locker room leadership, and I don't think I would allow him to be a starter anymore. But there are other defensive players I do think could make a huge impact moving forward with the new Mike Vrabel offense and defense, and that's got to be Dietrich Wise Jr., the captain. One of the lone captains that didn't get either injured or benched from their position. Dietrich Wise Jr. continued to show up every single week. And I know that sounds like that's his job, and it is, but it was really hard to do that for New England this last season. And something I liked about Dietrich Wise, he's already voiced his love for playing in New England, and he does want to come back. And towards the end of the season, he really did help out with the Patriots defense. He actually tied the team high in sacks with Keon White at 5 sacks for the year, which is also a negative for New England, that our team high was 5 sacks. I think we can do a lot better than that moving forward, but you absolutely need to make Dietrich Wise comfortable because I think he's going to stay for a long time. I cannot say the same for Daniel Ekuale. I'm sorry. He obviously did step up huge for that 3-4 front when we were dealing with injuries with Christian Barmore and Devon Godchaux. But Daniel Ekuale, while he did have a pretty good outing for New England in 2024, 52 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. It was a type of guy where I felt like I wasn't ever getting anything more than the bare minimum out of him, which is okay because our defense and our team pretty much gave the bare minimum every single week. But now that we have a new system coming in, Daniel Ekuale is a guy that I don't see paying a lot of money for this next year, and possibly getting a guy like Abdul Carter or maybe another guy in free agency. You're not going to have a need for Ekuale on that 3-4 front. Moving back here, let's talk a little bit more about those 4 guys. A linebacker, Christian Ellis. I loved Ellis's drive. I love that every single play he gave his absolute most. He was constantly putting in quarterback pressures when the team really didn't decide they wanted to give a shit on that play. Christian Ellis really stepped up big when he did not have a starting role for New England this last year. He made it his own. He turned into a headhunter. And Jelani Tavai, who he paired very well with, but you have to remember, we lost Jawan Bentley this year. That's how Ellis got to have that role, and I think he established himself as a starter moving forward. 80 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and I'm also going to throw in there his interception when Christian Gonzalez tipped it, and it landed right into Christian Ellis' hands. The guy is a playmaker. Jalen Hawkins as well. When you're looking at the secondary, like I said, Jonathan Jones, that type of guy that's a little bit too old for my liking in terms of playmaking on the field. but you can't say the same for Hawkins. This dude fit in very well in the second team that would come in for the Kyle Duggars, Jabril Peppers, because obviously we played a lot of games without Peppers this year while he was going through the legal side of off-the-field stuff. And then Kyle Duggar did have a lot of injuries towards the end of the season. I noticed that Jalen Hawkins really got better in man-to-man defense, which would pair very well when Christian Gonzalez, as your cornerback, constantly shadows that top wide receiver. Jalen Hawkins is the second line of defense, the secondary, that really proved to be a good headhunter towards the end of the year that I think Vrabel can find a position for him moving forward. My number one must keep, Alex Austin. With a guy like Christian Gonzalez, you can't really replicate him. That was the only downfall of Gonzo this year, is that when you're playing Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, you can only pick one for Gonzo to shadow, which left that other receiver to have a 100-plus yard game. That's where Austin comes in. Unfortunately, he was on the injured reserve for a couple games this year, but Alex Austin is constantly breaking up passes, and he is mimicking the effort that Gonzo gives, which is very hard to do. He's quiet, he is reserved, but he is very, very sneaky going up against top receivers this year in the NFL. I think you keep Alex Austin. I think you start to learn how to pair Gonzo and Austin on the field together. So my question for you guys, going through the top defensive players heading into free agency for the Patriots, which defender are you excited for most in 2025? I think mine is Alex Austin. A lot of you guys want to see a little bit more out of Keon White. Totally understand. But go on ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. Let me tell you guys real quick about Prize Picks, our sponsor here on Patriots Today. This is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America, and I play it every single game day. So do 10 million other active users play it, including producer Coop. So if you guys want to be like Coop, and who doesn't, go on ahead and download the Prize Picks app. When you guys get there, super, super easy. It's actually probably one of the easiest parts of my day. All you have to do is just pick more or less on a player's projected stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. That's right, up to 1,000 times your money. This is one of my favorite times of the year in terms of football games. So I will take King Henry to have more than 97 rushing yards against the Buffalo Bills. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery expected to return, but I still think Gibbs is the ace. Give me more than one rushing and receiving touchdown. And the C.J. Stroud, at least one passing touchdown going up against the other great quarterback in the NFL, and that is Patty Mahomes. So if you guys want to go ahead and make your Prize Picks, it's super easy to do so. Just download the Prize Picks app, use promo code CLNS. That'll give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Download Prize Picks app. This will give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup when you use promo code CLNS. Prize Picks, run your game. If you guys haven't already, go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. There's going to be a lot of roster moves made in the offseason. I can feel it in my bones, and I want to be able to get you guys in on the latest for absolute free news, rumors, breaking news. We've got it right here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. So go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. Jacoby Brissett, the man we were forced to watch for 5 weeks this year when Drake Maye was on the bench. Good job, Mayo. I think you got to let Jacoby Brissett go. If there's one thing we learned from Week 18 is that Joe Milton is a backup quarterback for Drake Maye. He showed that he has very similar playing styles to Drake Maye. They call him Bazooka Joe for a very good reason. The guy has a cannon of an arm. And I think when you've got Drake Maye, who is a very efficient passer, you can now rely more on Joe Milton as your backup, and you don't necessarily need the Jacoby Brissett. If you do want to keep him, you need to flip. And you need to let Joe Milton be your quarterback too, and Brissett be your emergency quarterback, mainly more of a practice squad guy and definitely a locker room leader. I love the veteran aspect that he was able to provide for Drake Maye, but in terms of talent, you just don't need him anymore. That's okay. Thank you, Jacoby Brissett, for your service for the first 5 weeks of the season. Another guy that I loved this year that I did not expect to love more than Hunter Henry was Austin Hooper. He came in thanks to Alex Van Pelt. He did bring us some good this last year. Hooper was the exact same type of route runner as Hunter Henry. But the thing that really a lot of people didn't notice is that Ramondre Stevenson, when he did have long carries, and it wasn't too often this year, wasn't my favorite year from Ramondre, every single long run that Stevenson had, it's because you had Hooper on the line blocking for him. And that was big with an offensive line that pretty much sucked when it come to run plays for Stevenson. So to have Hooper be able to create those numerous gaps time and time again is proving he's a dual threat, and he should still be a top target for Drake Maye next year along with Hunter Henry. You need to keep Austin Hooper. But talking about running backs, I don't think you need JaMycal Hasty. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Jeffrey Cooperstein, obviously a Dallas Cowboys fan, and maybe there's a Rico Dowdle out there that may hit free agency that the Patriots could possibly acquire, but not just a guy like Dowdle. I think that with JaMycal Hasty, Antonio Gibson proved to be a really good pickup in free agency, and he may even give Ramondre Stevenson a run for his money because this last year was not Stevenson's best. Hasty didn't really prove a purpose after Antonio Gibson, so I do think that now having other free agents entering in to the market this year, you can upgrade this running back position and really work on that depth at running back, and I just don't think you need Hasty in the mix of things. You definitely don't need Ben Brown. You didn't need him this year, but you picked him up anyways. You picked him up on the waiver wire from the Raiders practice squad to be your center for the future of your franchise, Drake Maye. He needs a vacation. Drake Maye does, not Ben Brown. He didn't do anything. Now that you have David Andrews coming back and you have Cole Strange coming back, there is no reason to keep Ben Brown on this roster, and I think that's pretty much it. And another guy that should not be on the Patriots at all moving forward is DeMontre Jacobs. The only thing he was good at this year is false starts. I mean, my goodness, dude, can you just count to 3 before you jump? It is just uncanny how bad he was. He did have moments of keeping Drake Maye as protected as he could, but the penalties, dude, you did nothing but constantly hurt the offense more than you helped it. Bye-bye, DeMontre Jacobs. This one was a little bit tough for me with Joey Sly. I do think that the kickers overall in the NFL this year just took a drastic dip. But you know who didn't? Chad Ryland. You know who you picked over Chad Ryland? Joey Sly. And I would put him in the category of kickers that did dip off. I think it's okay to let Joey Sly go, but my only reserve with Sly is who else is out there that's going to possibly be better. And we did rely on Joey Sly a lot because our red zone offense wasn't the best, and I do understand that. But I want to definitely test out the free agency market and see what could be there. But if there is somebody better, I would definitely take them over Joey Sly. If not, well, then let's just get back to practice, my guy. Last question for you guys. Should New England sign a kicker? We had the kicker competition last year of Chad Ryland and Joey Sly. They ended up going with Joey, and then Chad went and popped off in Arizona. That sucked. Go on ahead, type Y for yes, type N for no in the comment section down below. As always, we want to show the Bengals breakdown that we want Tee Higgins more. We're in a subscriber battle with them. So go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. Ooh. Yeah, Cody saying Sly should stay. I went back and forth on Sly for so long. I do think he is a good kicker, but he took that Justin Tucker dip at the end of the season for no reason, and I was like, okay, maybe it's time to reach out to other guys. But I do think that Justin Tucker's decline should be studied. That should be studied, yes.
We have a bit of Patriots breaking news, by the way.
Oh, my God, let me guess. We have an offensive coordinator?
Drake Maye.
I literally was thinking about this today.
He got engaged.
I was thinking about this today because somebody did mention that he might have a dad bod, which is okay. We love dad bods. But I was like, oh, he's been in a long-term relationship for so long, and he just got engaged? Oh, my goodness. Congratulations, Drake Maye. Oh, my God. Think about this. Josh Allen gets engaged, then Drake Maye gets engaged. Do we have...
to Haley Steinfeld?
Yes! Do we have a future MVP because he's following in the steps of Josh Allen? Maybe. Oh, go on ahead and spam your 10s in the comment section down below. Give Drake Maye some love. Congratulations to Drake Maye. And also, screw you, Coop, because I had a heart attack that we just signed like an offensive coordinator or somebody.
Not real breaking.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations for Drake Maye. Oh, Ness said get a prenup. That's what
Drake, get the prenup.
Get the prenup. No, it'll be good. It'll be good. They've been together for years.
Long time.
Yeah, long time. They're very, very cute together. And this looks extremely intimate. This is really nice. I'm happy for him. Got a little money in his back pocket. He's like, all right, got a new head coach. We're about to have a hell of a year. Let me go on ahead and get this out of the way. All right, if you got the fact that it's congratulations, but get a prenup.
Prenup, most deaf.
That's wild. All right, we're going to hop into our mailbag section here on today's show. So if you guys do have a question that you want us to ask and break down, go on ahead, use hashtag Patriots in the comment section down below. That is how Coop is able to filter out your questions and put them on our show. Nolan, wide receiver or offensive line? Are we talking draft, free agency, trades? Just a little bit vague, but that's okay. Cody, Patriots, who's your pick for offensive coordinator? Like that. Always good. Dude, the fact that we are chanting prenup in the comment section. It's sad, but it is realistic. Double S reminding everybody to like the video. CW Patriots, how many seasons until playoffs? Great question. Haven, Patriots bro, just get both T and Godwin the draft, our defense and offensive line. Good stuff. Big Daddy Joe, status of Gonzo. Gonzo had a concussion in week 17, so I'm sure he's fine now, but he's still with New England, if that's what you mean. Should the Patriots draft a tight end in the NFL? Draft round 2? No. That's crazy. That's crazy, Junior. What are we talking about? We have Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper. That would be the most Patriots move to do, is draft a tight end that way, but no, I don't think so. Coop, are we good, or
let's do it?
Do we need more?
No, we're good.
We're chilling. All right, let's go on ahead and rip into this mail. We're going to break down your questions surrounding the New England Patriots on today's mailbag episode. Look, now that we've got our guy in Mike Vrabel, there are a plethora of questions to be answered. Who's his right-hand man? Who's his DC? Would DeMarcus Covington stay? What is our roster going to look like this next upcoming year with $130 million in cap space, a top 5 NFL draft pick, and possible free agents pending? Let's go on ahead and jump into the first question on today's show, coming in from Felix. Who would you like to see the Patriots trade for, frying the offseason while being realistic? I think that Jeffrey Simmons would be a huge upgrade for the Patriots defense this last offseason. Jeffrey Simmons only has played for Tennessee in his tenure, and knowing that he played his first 5 seasons in the NFL under Mike Vrabel, and he's already possibly hinted on Twitter/X that he would be open to being traded away from Tennessee and playing again for a Mike Vrabel. But I do like Mike bringing in former players, whether it's from Tennessee or this last year with the Browns when he did work in the front office. When you get a guy like Jeffrey Simmons, he is obviously one of the top defensive tackles in the NFL. He's actually the 6th highest paid D tackle in the NFL right now. He had a very good season, but we know with the Titans now having the first pick in the NFL draft, there wasn't a lot of success out there. So maybe he's looking for something different. I think that's a very realistic option for Mike Vrabel to cook up in this offseason, but I also do really like an A.J. Brown reunion, but I don't think that's coming this year, to be quite frank. Next question coming in from Cody Wesley. Allie, Patriots, who's your pick for offensive coordinator? I am going to go with Josh McDaniels. I did think that Ben Johnson would be a really good head coaching opportunity for New England. But now that Mike Vrabel's been hired, I realized it's a safer option. And that's what I think Josh McDaniels is. I think he's the safer option for the Patriots right now. He knows this franchise. He has had success in this franchise. And knowing that in his experience in New England, he was the quarterback's coach and OC. So I think that will pair very well with a guy like Drake Maye when a lot of people were very concerned about taking AVP away from the new, fresh rookie in Drake Maye, that maybe it could, really hurt his chances of being a great NFL quarterback. I don't think that's going to be the opportunity here. I think Josh McDaniels is the safe choice. If I wanted to go with the spicier choice that I do think would really improve the Patriots right now, it would be Josh McCown from the Vikings. But more on that later. Another question coming in here from CW. Number one, I love your profile picture. I have 2 cats of my own. Cat lady here, so I do love that profile picture. Very cute cat. Patriots, how many seasons until playoffs? I can be the unrealistic Patriots fan and say it'll be in 2025. And I can say that, and I can run with it and do whatever. I do think it'll be 2 seasons before we do see the playoffs again, minimum. And the reason why is because Mike Vrabel in his press conference did say he's going to bring success back to New England. But there are going to be growing pains. Whether you were hiring a first-year head coach in Jerod Mayo or you hired Vrabel last year, there were bound to be growing pains in a new system. Now, you can hope it can be a Sean McVay and Mike McDaniels-esque type of first year and take their team back to the playoffs, but I would say minimum 2 seasons, start to filter in more players, get old players out, and let Vrabel do his thing. I do not think playoffs are going to be in the future this season. If they are, absolutely on board with it, but I will see growth this year nonetheless. And I have a question for you guys here. Do you want the Patriots to make the 2025 playoffs? Go on ahead and like this video for me. If I see 500 people getting likes on this video, then maybe I'll reconsider and start to dig a little deeper about what Vrabel can do to take New England to the postseason. But let me go ahead and tell you guys real quick about our sponsor on today's show, and that is Game Time. If you guys are looking to get tickets to a sporting event near you, go on ahead and download Game Time. But it's not just sporting events, it's comedy, concerts, the theater even. Pretty much anything that requires ticket upon entry. The number one reason why I use Game Time is because I know I'm going to get the lowest price guaranteed. And I'm also going to get all-in pricing. So no surprise fees at checkout. There's nothing I hate more than I know I'm going to spend this amount of money. I hit that checkout cart button, and turns out I'm spending $75 or something I have no idea where my money's going to. Another feature that's super helpful is the fact that you guys can see the view from your seat in the app before you buy. You get a nice little 180 panoramic view to make sure you're not sitting behind a pole. Make sure you're not too close to the men's restroom. So if you guys want to go on ahead and get started with Game Time, well, we are going to hook you up. Download the Game Time app. Use promo code CHATSPORTS. This will give you guys $20 off your first time buying tickets while terms apply. Again, download the Game Time app. Use promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. Steven coming in. Why is no one mentoring Ted McMillan for the first pick when there isn't any great offensive tackles in the draft? You, sir, must be new to my channel because I have been doing nothing but saying we need to draft Tedoroa McMillan for Drake Maye. I'm going to sound like every other analyst out there when I say this, but you cannot teach 6'5". Tedoroa McMillan is a large top target for Drake Maye, who tends to be a bit inconsistent. And what I really like of Tedoroa McMillan is that not only does he have that height, but he knows how to climb the ladder. He doesn't need to create separation on the ground when he can do it in the air. You're getting a 1,300 yards in a season from Tedoroa, which is well beyond what any Patriot receiver could even dream of doing this last year. And I do agree. I do like Will Campbell. I also like Kelvin Banks Jr. This isn't the most stacked offensive line draft we've seen in the last couple of years. I truly do think that offensive tackle and offensive line should be 3rd and 4th for the Patriots. I like Tedoroa McMillan or Abdul Carter the best. And I do think Tedoroa would be a really good option for a strong wideout for Drake Maye. You would make up for drafting the bust Jalen Polk. And if you go out and get a guy that can work in the slot like a Chris Godwin, look at that. Your wide receiver core has just upgraded by 1,000. Another question coming here from Junior Estrada. Should the Patriots draft a tight end in the NFL? No. God, no. Robert Kraft, you're watching? No. Stay away. Not unless it is day 3, round 7, best available, and you just have to take one. You've got Hunter Henry, who has been your top 2 receiver, top 2 pass catcher in New England for the last 2 years. You also picked up Austin Hooper, who is proving to be an even better blocker than he is a catcher, which is incredible considering he had a very good completion percentage. The tight end position, good, solidified. In fact, if you're playing fantasy next season, I highly recommend taking Austin Hooper or Hunter Henry. Do not touch the tight ends in the draft. I think we have plenty of other positions that need work before we touch the tight ends. Robert Kraft. George Widmer coming in here. We're trading our first round pick for anyone in free agency. Opinion? Tee Higgins. Tee Higgins, absolutely. If Cincinnati really was trying to bargain with T and said, hey, we really want you to come back, I mean, if anything, you are giving up your first round pick for a guy like Tee Higgins. But the beauty of it is that Tee Higgins is a free agent, so you don't have to trade up anything. You can just sign him. You can just offer him the best deal. If you're trading away that first-round pick for a guy that is currently on a team, then I would probably go with a guy like an A.J. Brown that already has a connection with Mike Vrabel and Philadelphia, especially because they did go out and get other guys. They're spending a lot of money. Maybe they could really benefit from a draft capital, but I think that there's enough talent in free agency that you don't need to trade away the first pick in the draft. I think you would benefit from a Tetaroa or an Abdul Carter, and at most, a Will Campbell. So if you guys haven't already, go on ahead and like this video if you are excited for next season. Oh, I feel like I have life back in my eyes. This last couple of months was tough for New England Patriots fans, but now having Mike Vrabel in the front seat, I'm very excited for what he's going to bring to New England. Go on ahead, hit that like button for me if you guys haven't already. As always, please subscribe to Patriots Today by Chat Sports for the latest news and rumors surrounding your team for free. I don't think I breathe when I do those videos, to be honest. See, it's where I get my core workout. It's a life hack. You know, that way I don't have to go to the gym after this. Justin, really getting this question in here. Hello, Allie. Do we think we will trade for anybody? Maybe A.J. Brown. I wouldn't expect an A.J. Brown trade this season. I think that's a little bit too far of a stretch for New England this past year, but I could see a current or former Titans player that has worked with Mike Vrabel definitely may want to come back and play for him again. There also could be some lower level trades that could happen, with the Patriots having this much cap space, and depends, like a Tyreek Hill. Right after that season ended, he said he wanted out of Miami, but now he wants to go back to Miami. There's going to be a lot more players that aren't going to get paid in the offseason that would want to be paid that may start requesting trades. So we're definitely have to keep our eyes open to who could be out there, but I don't think A.J. Brown will get traded to New England. Not this year, at least. It's too soon. And Brown had that falling out, if you want to call it, with Jalen Hurts and such, but he seems pretty content in Philadelphia right now. John Alley, do you think Vrabel will have a better year one than Ben Johnson? It depends on where Ben Johnson goes and what he gets in his first year in terms of talent. And I'm just going to say yes off rip because Vrabel has experience. But if Ben Johnson does get handed a pretty good sized roster full of talent, then I could definitely see Johnson being innovative enough to have a Sean McVay type of success as a head coach. McVay obviously took the Rams to the playoffs in his first year. Same thing Mike McDaniels did with the Dolphins. So there is hope. But I would say Vrabel just because Vrabel has proven success already. And I also really don't want Johnson to have a better year than Vrabel or else I'll be pissed. Allie, what's your ideal offensive line come week 1 Patriots? Oh, God. We'll get
Too early
Andrews.
to tell.
I know. I was like, we'll get Andrews back. We'll get Strange back, and Wenu. And then other than that, there's too many guys out there that you could plug and play. Will Campbell's likely a Patriot. If there's one thing I've learned about the Patriots is just because the draft pick makes sense does not mean Robert Kraft is going to draft him. Is there a chance of getting Steve Belichick back? Probably not. He's probably going to follow his family line to Chapel Hill, baby.
He's the defensive coordinator.
Chapel Bill. I thought that was the other one. Aren't there two sons? No?
Just one.
Just one? It's just Steve?
Steve was at Washington last year. Now he's the defensive coordinator for the UNC Tar Heels.
Who do we have on our staff? We have a Belichick on our staff. Or we did.
It was Steve.
Was Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I have my years mixed up here. Justin Jefferson trade for #1 pick. One thing I love about Jay Jettas, and you might disagree with me, Coop, here. I just don't think he's like a diva. I think. See, I know.
They all are.
They all are to an extent, for sure. But I feel like he's kind of content in Minnesota.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think he's like trying to demand a trade out of.
Not like a trade diva, like a play me or I'm leaving, like an Antonio Brown ripping off my jersey and leaving in the middle of the game.
Like if you're a receiver and you're not a diva, then something's probably wrong with you.
Oh man, we were watching the Vikings game and it was some kind of incomplete pass and you saw the chains, the diamonds dancing, and I was like, that is so saucy. I can't even.
You think I could rock a diamond chain like that?
I think you can only rock it if you wear them layered like that. You gotta have the couple on there.
Of course.
All right, we're gonna go on ahead and wrap this one up. I will be live later tonight on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. If any Patriots fans happen to be Celtics fans as well, I'll be live on that channel. But Boston Bob is in here saying, "Coop."
My man.
Thank you guys so much. We'll be live next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss out. Go on ahead. Hit that sub button for me.